Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are two retired New York City police detectives, and if you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you will get all things DutyRon and this guy, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Today, we're going to be talking to you about a really horrific case out of Tennessee. Eliza Fletcher, a school teacher, kindergarten school teacher, 34 years young, mother of two, kidnapped, and as we now know, murdered by a vicious monster. And that's the best way I can describe this perp. Ed and I have been, looking at this back from when it started early Friday morning into the weekend. We're all spending holiday weekends together with family, and we were looking at this, and I got to tell you, it's just, again, these things never get easy to talk about. Ed, how you doing today?
Doing good. Hello to everybody out there joining us today, Dr. Moskowitz and Just Julie and all my other friends out here. Good to have you here. Want to thank you for your support. Thank you for the Patreon supporters and those who give generously with their money.
Yes. Channel members, subscribers, folks who watch these videos, who thumb them up, who give us comments and like and support this community. It doesn't always have to be done with going into your purse or your pocketbook or your wallet. It's just engaging, as you heard from our great guests at Adventures with Purpose. All we're looking to do here is get you guys valuable information. And today's live stream is going to be all about the forensic side. My co-host, my good friend, my brother in blue, Ed Wallace, is a crime scene unit retired detective, and he is a forensic expert. So we're coming live to talk to you today about this case because a lot of us have questions, and there's so many questions in regards to evidentiary evidence that is collected and how they process it and how it all goes down. But before we get into it, let's play this quick news conference. It's 11 minutes and 49 seconds. I'm not going to play it all, but let's just listen in. This was from early this morning. This perp, his charges were upgraded to murder in the first degree murder in the commission of a kidnapping, in addition to the slew of other charges that this evil monster has been charged with in the past. Then we're going to talk about that $500,000 bail, which to me is just outrageous, but we're going to get into it. Let's play this and we'll be right back to you.
Good morning. Today is a very sad day in the city of Memphis. First, I'd like to express our sincere condolences to the family, friends, and numerous others who have been impacted by the tragic and heinous kidnapping of Eliza Fletcher. Yesterday evening, September 5th, at approximately 5:07 p.m., the Memphis Police Department and other law enforcement partners discovered the remains of a human body, in the rear of a vacant duplex apartment at the 1600 block of Victor Street. At that time, it was believed the unidentified body could possibly be the remains of kidnapping victim Eliza Fletcher. Further forensic investigation by the MPD traffic unit positively identified the body was, in fact, Eliza Fletcher. This finding marked the culmination of a 4-day intensive investigation incorporating a robust search and rescue effort and the timely arrest of suspect Cleotha Abston on September 3rd, the day following the kidnapping. Cleotha Abston has been charged by MPD homicide investigators with the following state charges: first-degree murder and perpetration of kidnapping, especially aggravated kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. In addition, Abston has been charged with the following unrelated offenses: identity theft, theft of property, and credit card fraud. While the outcome of this investigation is not what we hoped for, we are nonetheless pleased to remove this dangerous predator off the streets of Memphis. I'd like to personally thank the professional and highly skilled men and women of the Memphis Homicide Unit, the Memphis Police Department, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney General's Office, Homeland Security, the ATF, and the University of Memphis Police Department for your relentless efforts and many contributions toward this investigation. The collaboration and cooperation amongst all of our partner agencies was nothing less than symphonic. We are also very grateful for the hundreds of tips that came through our Crime Stoppers and other platforms from our citizens at large. Our engaged and supportive community is truly our most valued asset. Just remember that this still is an ongoing investigation. At this time, I would like to bring up FBI Special Agent in Charge, Doug Kornesky.
Good morning. First and foremost, on behalf of the FBI, I want to extend the extreme sympathy and condolences of our office to the family and friends of Eliza. While most of us did not know her prior to this tragedy, through the course of the recent investigation, we got a small glimmer into the light that she was to her family and friends and community. Next, I just want to commend the immense collaborative efforts of the local, state, and federal law enforcement during this investigation. As the family knows, every possible resource that we had as a law enforcement community, to include the FBI, was brought to bear to both find Eliza and her perpetrator and hold him accountable. And then simply lastly, I just want to thank the community for their support during this investigation, the many tips and leads that we received. We are a member of this community as well, and this situation, this tragedy impacts us deeply as well. So with that, I just again want to thank the community. Next, I will be followed by the Acting Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Ollie Roberts from ATF.
First, on behalf of ATF, I'd like to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends affected by this tragedy. No resources were spared to locate and arrest the individual responsible for this incomprehensible violent crime. ATF utilized resources such as assigning special agents, our canine, and utilizing the E-Trace database. We also utilize our expertise as we work with our state and local partners to bring about justice to the family and friends in reference to this tragedy. I would like to bring next up U.S. Marshal Tyrese Miller.
Thank you. Good afternoon. On behalf of the United States Marshal Service, we certainly want to extend our sincere condolences to the family of Eliza Fletcher, her friends and family, and those that knew her. As I understand it, she touched many lives, and it's certainly a loss. As I've said on numerous occasions, the Marshal Service has a very unique relationship with the Memphis Police Department. At any time they call, we're there to assist. We were glad to receive that call on Saturday when a suspect had been identified. We then went about finding the suspect vehicle in question, as well as the suspect himself. He was spotted, the vehicle was spotted in an apartment complex, and we also conducted surveillance on him. And then when he tried to make a move, we went in and made the arrest safely and took him into custody and turned him over to the custody of the Memphis Police Department. And after that, we also participated in the search efforts to find Ms. Fletcher all day Sunday and all day Monday. And as has been stated, it was not the outcome we were looking for. We were dedicated and committed to continue those search efforts and assist our partners until she was found. Next, I will turn it over to District Attorney General Steve Mulroy.
Thank you. Good morning. I also want to add my condolences and the condolences of my office to the family of Eliza Fletcher. To lose someone so young and so vital is a tragedy in and of itself, but to have it happen in this way with a senseless act of violence, it's unimaginable. And we express our deepest condolences. We're praying for them. I'm praying for Eliza, and I'm praying for the family. With respect to the family, both law enforcement and our office was in contact with the family throughout this long weekend. They have been fully cooperative throughout that entire process. And in contrast to whatever baseless speculation you might have seen, we have no reason to think this was anything other than an isolated attack by a stranger. With respect to the family, we were in touch with them, as I said, throughout the course of the weekend. I visited with the family over the weekend.
Bless you.
I also visited them this morning when we had terrible news to deliver to them. And I have a message from the family that I want to express to all of you, the public, but also the media. Please respect their privacy. Please allow them to grieve. At an appropriate time, they will be making a statement. I believe a written statement will be forthcoming, but we really do ask that you avoid intrusive questioning and respect their privacy. I also want to take this opportunity to commend all of law enforcement, the people behind me and all the agencies they represent. I had the opportunity to go to the command center over the course of the weekend, and I saw with my own eyes the seamless cooperation among all of them. Chief Davis referred to it a moment ago as symphonic. I think that's an entirely appropriate adjective. I watched myself how they cooperated, and I was very impressed with the speed with which they developed leads, the speed with which they turned around test results, the diligence with which they coordinated the search efforts. They're all to be commended. As for our office, the defendant was arraigned this morning on charges of kidnapping and tampering with evidence. He'll be arraigned tomorrow morning on new charges that we now have to bring of first-degree murder, premeditated murder, murder in the course of perpetration of a kidnapping. Any kind of violence, of course, is unacceptable, but repeat violent offenders particularly deserve a strong response, and that's what they'll get from this district attorney's office. We will continue to cooperate with law enforcement and work closely with them, as we already have, so that we can do our best to bring justice to this tragic situation. And I'll end there. I'll note that because this is still an ongoing investigation and a pending case, and I, as a prosecutor, have certain legal limits on what I can say. There are probably limits to what kind of questions that I can answer.
All right, I'm going to end it right there. He basically told them he's not going to be able to answer any questions. Ed, we have so much to talk about here. He made a mention here that he feels that this was not an intentional act. As district attorney, I was actually surprised to hear him say that, not because he can go and point fingers at this point in time, but he has access to this defendant's criminal history. And we all know the online people who are following this, ex-detectives, people who are just smart and right on it. This guy has a history of doing this, and he did it to somebody who was intertwined into her family through business. You want to touch on that just a tad bit before we go into this forensics part?
Yeah, well, they're going to have to do a background investigation because the way the press conference came off, it sounded like this was a crime of opportunity as opposed to something that was premeditated. And they would have to do a background investigation, get his social media, get his computers, phones, do a dive into any searches that he was doing, get his GPS information from cell phone and vehicle to see where he's been in connection to her. Was he stalking her? Was he? Did he have her under surveillance? It's kind of early in the game to me, at least, to openly say that, because now he just made this statement that I think could potentially impact the charges. I'd like to run that by Joe Murray.
Yeah.
What he said there. But if there is that nexus, if there is that connection between his past kidnapping attempt and this heinous crime he just committed, then that goes a long way into saying, hey, this isn't just random.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I want to just go over a brief timeline. It's going to just be an overview of the first 24 to 48 hours. We're not going to go into every detail here because they're out there. That's not what we're going to be covering here today. But Friday morning around 4 a.m., Fletcher, a 34-year-old mom of two, leaves her home on her regular jog. This is something that she does regularly. She goes out early in the morning along the Memphis the campus over in Tennessee. The kindergarten teacher who previously qualified for the elite Boston Marathon is seen on surveillance footage. And this is what's key in identifying this suspect. She's seen on surveillance footage running in a pink sports bra, a purple running shorts, and she sticks to her usual route along Central Avenue near the University of Memphis. That's from the school's police force. And thank God that university has surveillance on the perimeter, on the outside, for safety of the students, which comes into play here. And that's why they give accolades to the campus police as well. At a similar time, Fletcher starts a run, a black GMC Terrain. It's caught on surveillance cameras prowling this university area where she would soon be snatched up, according to the affidavit that we're looking at. At 04:20 a.m. approximately, 20 minutes into Fletcher's run, the same GMC was first spotted in the area, seen pulling up ahead of her. So he goes ahead of her and waits for her to pass. The man gets out, aggressively runs towards the victim, and forces her into the passenger seat. During this abduction, there appears to be a major struggle, with the SUV remaining there on the scene for about 4 minutes before driving off. Soon after this, at 7 a.m., a cyclist that was driving by, somebody on a bicycle, sees the phone on the ground. He takes it, picks it up, and brings it to her husband. And this is the first time that the wife, she also goes by the name of Eliza, had not returned home, and the husband made the notification to the police department. And I just want to ask you quickly, how important are those items? The slides were of the perpetrator as well, that this bicyclist discovered. The DNA came back to the perp. How important are these pieces of evidence early on in this?
Okay, it's huge. It can't be any bigger. The video, the security footage is big, but this is huge, because Lecard's exchange principle. I know I talked about this in the past. So whenever two items or two objects or even two persons come together at a location, okay, and separate, okay, they're going to exchange bits and pieces of each other, and also the scene. They're going to take that away, but they're also going to leave bits and pieces of their presence at this location. And this was done for both of them. Her phone was found there at the point of abduction, and his slippers were found there. Okay. During the struggle, he must have lost his slippers. He was there for 4 minutes in the van. In the SUV rather. He was probably trying to subdue her. I mean, she seemed like a fighter. I guess after he did what he did, now we don't know exactly what we have here. What the cause of death, cause and manner of death is. Was it strangulation? Was it asphyxiation? Was it, stabbing or anything like this? We'll find out soon. But the critical component was the DNA off the slippers and the turnaround time. We always talk about the first 48 hours, right? They had this DNA back so fast. And this just goes to show you, people, it can be done. Now, I perform DNA analysis on biological materials. And the test that I perform and the units and machines that I do are all inclusive. They do all the amplification. They do the extraction, the amplification, all this stuff, and I can get a result in an hour. All right, that's for what I do. But now for this, they got to swab this. They got to swab these sandals, and then they have to extract the materials from the swabs. Then they have to amplify, get it in there. This is amazing. But since he is in the system, because he's in the DNA database, because he's a convict,
Right.
okay. And I mean, so bam, it hit. Now, I work in worlds of statistical analysis and limited universes. What are the odds that a guy who was previously convicted for abduction and kidnapping, who did 20 plus years in prison for that crime, has his slippers with his DNA found at this abduction? Okay, think about that. I mean, it limits the possibility of who could possibly have done this, and the fact that the vehicle information and all that. So everything points to him, and they nabbed him. They got him within 48 hours, have him locked up and on ice, can't go nowhere. Now they can slow everything down now that they found the victim, unfortunately not in the way that we wanted to find the victim.
Yeah.
But for those of us who
been
here, we kind of thought this might be the outcome.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to just say thank you to Wilesy Pony. She says in a super chat, basically this guy should not get out on any amount of bail. Unfortunately, due to the bail reform laws across the United States, that's why they had to afford him that $500,000. I don't agree with it. I don't think any of us would agree with it. Jeep Girl, thank you for the $20 super chat. Ed, you couldn't have said it any better. But after 7 a.m. Friday morning, the husband now calls the police. The police launch a multi-agency search operation using images of the 5'6", 135-pound distant runner. On 7:50, just a short time, 50 minutes later, 7:50 a.m., the perpetrator is seen going to a Memphis home of his brother, who was later charged with an unconnected drug offense and weapon offense. A witness later reports seeing the suspect cleaning the interior of his GMC Terrain with floor cleaner and stated that he was behaving oddly. This was later confirmed by the perp's brother, Mario, 38, who also states that he saw his brother cleaning the floor. Both his brother and another witness saw him washing also his clothes in the sink in the house, acting very strange. So here's immediate, behavior that's documented through witnesses.
Right. And witnesses also said that they saw him throw stuff in a dumpster and they seized the dumpster.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Early the next day, later on Friday night, the family releases a video asking for help in finding Fletcher, and they offer a $50,000 reward. Husband is seen in that heartfelt video wiping away tears constantly. 10:45 Saturday morning, early the next day, the U.S. Marshals find a black GMC parked next to or nearby the perpetrator's home and quickly confirm it's the one seen in the harrowing abduction footage. The same Marshals task force officers spot the perpetrator standing in a doorway of his apartment complex. He attempts to flee on foot, but he's taken into custody after a short pursuit. Kudos to those guys. That's a dangerous position. You got a potential murderer. At this point, we now know he's innocent until proven guilty, but now he stands charged with her murder. The Marshals task force take him into custody. He declines to provide any and all information. He just goes quiet. 4:30 a.m. on Sunday. This is all this weekend, almost exactly 2 days after she was snatched up. Police announced that he has been officially charged in connection with the abduction. He's being held on, this is what outraged all of us, $500,000 bond for charges of tampering with evidence and especially aggravated kidnapping, and an arraignment set for Tuesday. Fast forward to this morning. Court records also show that he had only gotten out of prison just a little bit under 2 years ago in 2020 after serving 20 years for a previous conviction for the same exact charge, aggressive, aggravated kidnapping. He had only been 16 years old. So he started his criminal history at a very young age. And that's, Ed and I are not strangers to that. We witnessed quite a few perpetrators over our time in the New York City Police Department who have had started at 13 or younger. So he forced an attorney to get into the trunk of his car and forcing him to withdraw cash at ATMs at gunpoint with accomplices that he picked up along the way. To go fast forward here on Monday, a huge search enters its fourth day with officers seen taken away huge. This is what Ed talked about, trash canisters, the dumpster near where he was seen searching and throwing things out. They started searching the wooded areas and things of that nature. And then a short distance from there, a few miles from that location, they recover 5 o'clock last night, her remains.
And an abandoned house that he happens to have a connection to.
Yes, it was an abandoned apartment complex, according to my notes, just miles away from this location. And, again, evidence is going to be huge here. We're looking at a wide, vast area of where this guy dumped. You were talking about multiple locations. You want to talk a little bit about how complicated that makes things and what they got? It's
going to be heavy on the manpower needs. So you have to send different teams to different locations. You don't want to send one team to one crime scene and then use that same team at the next crime scene. You really want to try to avoid that because to eliminate any potential cross contamination of the scenes. You'll have multiple crime scene teams doing these various locations. Now, obviously, they took the dumpster to a secure location and dumped the contents and searched it and so forth. They seized the vehicle. Now they're going to go with that vehicle with a fine-tooth comb in a vehicle forensics garage. And again, there should be a separate team than any of the other teams that are working on this. Tear that car apart, leave no stone unturned. Look for signs of struggle. Look for DNA. Look for broken fingernails, hairs, fibers. All this stuff, blood, obviously. A critical part of this is going to be the cause and manner of death from the autopsy. And then you have the clothing that he was washing in the sink in his brother's apartment, I believe. You need to go there and, work that sink, take the trap, look what the contents in the trap is. Look for blood, find that clothes. Even though he washed it, there still could be evidence of blood on the clothes, because I've had cases where I've done experiments with this, where a woman killed her husband with his gun and got blood spatter on her, and then she went to wash it, and she washed it, and then we were still able to find the blood. Okay, it's not completely gone. So there's going to be a lot of forensics here. And again, remember the Lacard exchange principle. The linkage is all going to be there at these various scenes in various locations, the various apartment. Now, the apartment complex where she was found, and we were going to find that his presence in there as well, DNA, fingerprints, his hairs and fibers, things of that nature. So we're going to connect this guy, hopefully, with all the forensics to all these different scenes and her. And I mean, they have from what I can tell right now, it's going to be a very strong case.
Yeah. And Ed, I had a question for you. Yes, for those folks who are joining, they did find her and they did positively identify her tentatively. The district attorney said, and folks said that the MPD traffic unit made the identification. Maybe their traffic unit is part of their crime scene unit as well. I don't know the makeup of the MPD and how they're
made the identification of
her remains.
Her remains.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they located her, maybe photographed, and did a preliminary identification with the family. I'm not sure how MPD traffic would do the identification. I mean, maybe they rolled her fingerprints and ran it through a database or something. I'm not sure.
I don't know. But they weren't specific about it, but the actual police who were conducting that interview that we just played, they made that statement. And that's when I sent that message to you on the private chat. Mm-hmm. I was surprised by it, but we could always go back and listen to it. There was evidence that was removed from the home of the perp where he was, and I keep saying the perp because I don't want to use his name. So the perpetrator in this crime, there was evidence that was removed, a laptop and something else that was really interesting. It looked like hedge trimmers or garden shears, they referred to it as. Again, we don't know what, if anything, and I'm sure that they removed it because they had, a strong need to take everything that they could get from that location. But there was probably any evidence or any leads that might have pointed to those shears. A lot of people are talking about that, Ed. Did he use that to, was that in the car with him for those 4 minutes?
We don't know. I mean, was there any blood on it? Could she possibly been stabbed with something like this?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what was this guy doing to sustain himself? Was he working? Was he? Did he hold a job down? Was he part of a lawn crew or something? We don't know these answers yet. But so I'd rather not speculate on it. But
absolutely,
yeah. Let's let them run the evidence through the lab and see what comes off of these things.
I want to show this piece, Ed, if you don't mind. This is going to show that this guy has not a stellar track record from being released in 2020. Remember 2020 is when COVID hit the United States, and they were letting people out of prison pretty quickly, and they might have used COVID. I'm not saying that they did, but they looked at, okay, he served 20 of his 24 years. We're going to put him out on early release due to this pandemic. That's a possibility. I don't know if that's a fact, but I know that it has to come into play, and we have to speak about it. He was, the day before, charged now with unauthorized use of a credit card of another completely separate victim. A lot of people don't know this, but I picked up on it, and I want to play this piece. This is about the charges that are put onto this perpetrator, in addition to all of the slew of other charges. So listen up.
Is also facing some new charges. That the suspect arrested in connection to Eliza Fletcher's disappearance is also facing some new charges tonight.
Now, as we said earlier, Cleotha Abston has been charged with identity theft, theft of property, and fraudulent use of a credit card. But we've also learned those charges are not connected to the Eliza Fletcher case. Let's go to Fox 13's Daniel Wilkerson in studio with us right now. Daniel.
Darcy, Daryl, good evening. Good evening to you at home. What we can tell you at this hour is this. I just got my hands on this affidavit in the last half hour, and apparently Abston's new charges, they stem from a crime police say he committed a day before the abduction. Again, we're referring to this man. You see him on your screen. He's 38-year-old Cleotha Abston. Now, he is the man accused of abducting Eliza Fletcher. Well, this court affidavit says last Thursday, a woman filed a police report with MPD. She claims someone used her Cash App card and her Wisely card at gas stations without her knowledge. She says she left her wallet at the Malco Theater on Germantown Road where she works. Well, police would pull video from that Malco, which they say showed an employee of a cleaning service stealing the wallet. Police say they would then learn from the manager of the cleaning service that the employee who stole the wallet was none other than Cleotha Henderson. Investigators say he's also known as Cleotha Abston.
There you go.
Officers then went to the gas stations and they pulled footage which they say shows Abston using those stolen cards at gas pumps. Now, Fletcher right now is in police custody. He is in jail on a $500,000 bond. Meanwhile, he is due in court tomorrow morning. Of course, we will have live coverage during Good Morning Memphis of all of it. Daryl.
That's Fox 13's Daniel Wilkerson reporting for us tonight. Again, we do want to show you the picture of Eliza Fletcher. Police say they are still searching for this wife, mother, and teacher. Take a look at your son's hair and green eyes and purple shorts when she was last seen.
Okay, I thought there was a little bit more, but it was another thing that I read and then I looked at. He was seen with those same slide shoes that was recovered from the crime scene at a movie theater and at that cleaning location where he stole that woman's wallet. So those same shoes are on video, not only there at the additional crime that he committed prior on Thursday, but he went to the movies and went to a movie theater and they have him on video with those same slides. So there you have it. This is a career criminal. He's not living his life right. And it is a prime example of, people say, oh, you do the time, you should get let out. Well, guess what? When you let people like this out, this is what you're looking at. And that woman who he stole her wallet from, she's lucky she's alive.
Mm. I say at the end of the show, stay safe, be prepared, watch your six. And it's sad today in society that we have to say things like this because this poor innocent woman she got into a routine of her workout, and she probably took the same path over and over again. Okay. And folks, and I'm telling you, don't establish these types of patterns. If you're going to work out, change your workout, the way you do your workout or how you get to your workout, or where you're going to run, change it. Don't be unpredictable. Okay. And in today's society, especially in, your urban areas, you're being videotaped everywhere. ATMs, gas stations, 7-Elevens, Ring doorbells. It's very difficult to get through society undetected these days. Okay. And your cell phone is tracking everything as well. Okay. Because everybody's tied to that phone. And those movements are being pinged and triangulation can occur. So it's not going to be, this was very easy for the police to gather this information. It's not going to be like O.J. Simpson and the Bruno Mollies. You can't say that those were I'd never wear those damn ugly shoes. Well, yeah, we have video that you did. Okay. And now we have DNA that they're yours. Okay. So it's a strong case, very strong case. Good police work.
I agree. And there's so much more that we will hear about once this trial, if it does commence. Hey, in the heart of speaking of safety, and we push that heavy here on Crime Time with DutyRon. I wanted to show this piece, and I'm not sure if I have it queued up at the right part, but a female, I think ex-law enforcement, comes on to Court TV, and she talks just about exactly what you just mentioned, Ed. So I'm going to see if I got this queued up right. Let's see if I got it good. But she's talking about situational awareness, and when listen, nobody's saying that you shouldn't go out and jog, but anything that you do, you have to do it with situational awareness, peripheral vision, trying to keep yourself safe at all costs. Crime knows no boundaries. And as we see here, this is a situation, but I think this is a good one.
The victim of a crime. And it's absolutely horrifying to think what every single person in the Memphis community is thinking this morning as they wake up, and perhaps thinking about taking a second thought about whether or not they're going to go for a run or a walk with their family or a loved one. But you're right, Ted, someone needs to take a step back and look at this defendant. Suspect was 16 years old when he kidnapped at gunpoint an attorney and drove him around town and made him take money out. And he was sentenced to 24 years in prison in 2000. It's 2022, and he was let out early, clearly. So why was that decision made? And as a prosecutor, you're exactly right. All we try to do is put the facts in front of a jury. We leave it up to judges to sentence people, and then the individuals who have the most control in our criminal justice system most of the time appears to be our board of paroles that are letting folks out of prison.
One thing that we must understand is that we can't possibly predict these things, and we can't possibly stop people from doing bad things. But what we can do is look at people's past behavior and their current mindset. And the big question here is, again, why was he let out early? What exactly happened while he was in prison to make people believe that his behavior was reformed? And what are the criteria for determining that? Now, we are a society of innocent until proven guilty, so there's no trial that's been had. We can't possibly know if this man is actually the one that is guilty of this crime. But I think as a woman, it's really important for women in society, especially when you're out running early in the morning and it's not light, there's not a lot of people out there, is we need to be situationally aware. We are our greatest defense in a situation like this. And we need to be more aware of our surroundings and have a better mindset about keeping ourselves safe. I think joggers get into that zone and they have their headphones on and they lose themselves in the run. If you're going to choose to run at that time of the day, then you need to really make sure that you keep your mind set on your surroundings. Every victim is the first responder, and we have to be prepared and ready to defend ourselves and to be in a situation where we make ourselves safe.
But
I mean, when I heard that, I couldn't have said it any better, Ed. I thought that was high impact, and that was days ago. That was 2 days ago that she said that. Kudos to her. And that, we speak about this all the time, anywhere. If you're in a car, when we covered the Naomi case over in Fernley, Nevada, right? She was grabbed out of her comfort zone by she was looking at Snapchat.
Head buried in her cell phone.
Perp slid over into her car with a gun at gunpoint and pushed her over into the passenger side and drove off, and the rest is history. We know what happened to her. So Ed, how confident are you here with, obviously, there's major, many different law enforcement, a major, presence, FBI, we heard the ATF, we had Homeland Security, MPD, the U.S. Marshals, TBI. I mean, they got the kitchen sink, as Dave Rader says, to throw at this forensically.
Yeah, I was kind of amazed that the federal agencies involved, ATF and the Marshal Service got involved really early on in this, FBI, so forth, and then the state and the locals working together, and on college campus police and so forth. But great job by all involved. Good, honest, clean, hardworking police work. Good forensics. And, ID that suspect as fast as possible, grab him, get the car. And, he didn't give up the location of the victim. So, he's been through the system, so he knows, keep his mouth shut.
Right.
He did. But, I can't praise these guys and gals enough for the quick, successful apprehension of this suspect. Just unfortunately, they didn't get to the victim. Now, my guess is, from what's going on here, he killed her in the car. Yeah. Right there at the scene, because she fought back. She definitely fought back, and he probably has scratches on her. She probably has his DNA underneath her fingernails. So we'll see. We'll see when the autopsy results come back.
I think those 4 minutes were unfortunately when she met her demise with him. He's a big dude. I have his social media up. I'm not going to promote that or show it. But I looked at his Facebook and his Instagram and all of his social media. The guy is jacked up. He's big. He's a big dude, strong and powerful. So unfortunately, that was a battle that she was not going to be able to win at. I wanted to just go over for some of the people, because somebody here in the chat is asking, does Tennessee have capital punishment? So I'm going to tell you straight from my research, they do. In Tennessee, the last perpetrators executed on death row was 2018. Two perps, as I like to refer to them as, were executed at their request. They had the choice between electrocution or death by lethal injection. So 2018 was the last two that were executed in Tennessee. 46 men currently are on death row and one woman in the state of Tennessee. And upon conviction, I mean, as the great sheriff in Navarre County, or Santa Rosa County, Bob Johnson said, I'd like to see him get the needle. I'm not saying that, but I'm just quoting the words from him. But yeah, capital punishment is on the table. If anybody deserves it, this guy does. He took a wonderful mother of two, a freaking kindergarten teacher. By all means, somebody who is leading their life the right way. We can't, look at people's, status, social status, demographics, and all of that stuff. You just have to look at them as people. And this is a law-abiding citizen who's just going out for a jog like she normally does and was taken by evil. These are the same people that, he could have had people jog past him numerous different times, and potential victims. These people, evil walks amongst us. Ed, and I know you concur with that.
Absolutely. This guy with rehabilitation does occur from time to time. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. It does. People do get a second chance, and some people take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of those convicts do not. They go right back to their life of crime.
Yeah.
Parole, visits with probation officers and all this stuff. It doesn't stop this. Recidivism is very high.
The attorney that he kidnapped back in 2020, yeah. So his crime that he got sentenced to 20 years for in 2020. I think it happened just a tad bit before that. Not 2020. What am I thinking of? Right? Back 20 years ago.
20 years ago when he was 16.
When he was 16. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ed. So when he committed that crime at age 16, that was a criminal defense attorney, right? This attorney since has passed away, but the attorney was someone who advocated and fought for wrongfully convicted, like Marty Tankliff does.
Mm-hmm.
This is what he did. He fought for wrongful convictions and to get people out of jail. And he was taken at gunpoint and driven around and terrified. Terrifying situation for him. But I want to play JB from WFLA Now. He posted a few days ago a video of our victim, Eliza Fletcher. She's talking to her kindergarten kids in a Twitter post. And this is from her account. She posted this live on Twitter. So I'm going to play this. If you suffer, from PTSD, or if you can't, if this might make you overwhelmed, don't look at it. But this is the human life that this guy snuffed out. And I'm going to play this for you guys because I think it's important to show how good of a person she was.
Hey girls, it's Miss Fletcher. So before we go, I wanted to remind you of something that we do at St. Mary's that's so special and that I miss a lot. So I want to see if you can join in with me. We're going to sing This Little Light of Mine. Okay? Ready? This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Shine all over St. Mary's School. I'm going to let it shine. Shine all over St. Mary's School. I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Miss you girls. Now you need to let the light shine at your house, and I will see you later. But wait 1 second. I heard somebody that you might want to meet. Janie, come here, girl. Come here, Janie. Come here, Janie. Hey, look, girls. This is Janie. And Janie is the girl in our house because there's 2 little boys and a Mr. Fletcher, and so there's just me and Jane.
Heartbreaking. You know, there's real people behind these things. And when you look at these cases and how they're covered in the media and how, you know, people speak about them, this is what gets forgotten. And that's the reason why I thought it was important for us to play that, Ed. You know, a good soul.
Truly innocent victim.
Yeah. Yeah. 34 years young, a mother of two, kindergarten teacher, talking to her kids, showing her family pet, trying to keep them during, I think this was during remote learning and stuff like that. So just a wonderful soul. And it's just so sad. Again, we have to look at, you know, cause and manner of death. That's going to be coming out soon. You know, when they get to that part and they release that, and then we're going to look at all the forensics, computers, social media posts, which this guy is not a slouch with. He's posting all over the place, vile, disgusting, cursing filled. I won't play it obviously here. I won't give him the platform, but he's all over the place with a bunch of really expletives left and right. Just nothing good coming from this guy. And in an interview with one of his family members, this is the perpetrator we're talking about, Abston. They said that nobody in this whole family is good. I mean, I couldn't believe that I was reading it. But it's there for the right on social media. It's in writing. And he said that everybody in this family is completely effed up. And I don't know. You know, I didn't look into the background on his family, but this is coming from someone from within the family. And they said that they keep as far away from them as humanly possible. So if that's not an indicator of, you know, bad seeds, I don't know what is. And, you know, I call it as I see it. And that's the bottom line. Ed, any final words before we drop off here?
It's so sad. You know, sad, tragic case that didn't have to be. If our system was working right, if our society could heal itself and fix these issues, parenting, raising the children correctly. I mean, there's so many areas that need to be fixed. You know, you always say, so that this never happens again. But unfortunately, it's going to happen again. And everybody has to understand that you are the first person responsible for your own self-protection. You cannot rely on 911. You cannot rely on the police. They are not omnipresent. Okay. You have to be able to take care of yourself. You have to be able to protect yourself. You have to have situational awareness. You have to know what to do. You have to train. You have to be able to think under pressure. Think and use whatever you have available to protect yourself. And I don't know. I'm just, you know, this stuff just drives me nuts.
And I'm going to read. I wasn't going to do it, but I found it because it got buried in my notes here. But this is a report and a statement from Nathaniel Isaac, an uncle of this perpetrator. So he says, "My whole family is effed up. My family is wacky. They've always been. They're not beloved to me because they are all nuts. This is the truth. Go check the police records for this Abston's family. You'll find that they're all perpetrators of something. My wife's son stays locked up. Mario is arrested now for drugs and carrying a gun. And Cleo, I'm 100% sure," he's referring to the perp, "I am 100% sure he had something to do with her abduction. Can I prove it? No, but only time will tell." This is coming from an uncle. And he puts his name in writing. He pens that. He says that to a reporter. So, again, there's people like this all over the place. And there's people out in the country, in the United States, in the world, bad actors. Crime knows no boundaries. And that's why everyone says, "Oh, DutyRon, well, you're in your car, you're looking all over." No, I'm not. I'm looking at my peripheral vision. If someone comes up on me, I want to have at least a fighting chance to defend myself. And that's the bottom line. And that's what everybody can do to make yourself just a little bit safer. You know, it doesn't guarantee anything, as Ed could tell you. You know, sometimes the best of us get caught up by crime. So it is what it is. Let's look at the chat quickly because a lot of people are chiming in. Somebody, Lola's mom says generational curses. Yeah, unfortunately. Eddie T says we need prayers in families. Yeah.
We need full families.
Yeah, full families to do the right thing and help keep people on track. Dee Dee Burns, she's like, wow. Ruth Ann Griffin says, thumbs up, DutyRon. Saudia Shabazz says, I'm not surprised. Yeah. So this is what we're looking at, folks. All we can do now is send prayers to the surviving family. You know, law enforcement has done an unbelievable job, and there's so many more of these bad guys out there. You know, the defund the police conversation is ridiculous. When you look at people that talk about defunding the police and also decarceration, people are behind bars for a reason. If you commit a crime that's violent, you shouldn't get a second chance at it. Tell that to this Eliza Fletcher family. Tell that to this family about second chances. Tell it to the hundreds of thousands of other crime victims across the globe who fall victim to people who get second chances. I've seen it all too much in my career. I put handcuffs on some of the most vicious murderers, nasty crime, career criminals. And I'm back out on patrol a year later, or back in my investigation a year or two later, and we see the same scumbag walking the street, and they're smiling. There's something wrong with the system, and it keeps all of us good people vulnerable. And look at the case in Houston, where we had Diamond Alvarez shot 22 times in the back, and the judge let her shooter, who spit on her, out on bond, $250,000. How do you think that family feels? How do they feel? Diamond Alvarez's mom, who was on this channel with Ed and I.
You know, I hear you, Ron. I hear you. I see in the chat a lot of people talking about self-defense and so forth. Folks, you know, if you're going to commit to self-defense instructions, you have to commit all the way. It's not a one and done, right? You can't just go for a couple of classes and think, okay, now I'm good to go. No, you have to commit, and you have to train, and you have to practice all the time, okay? Because these are perishable skills. If you don't use them, you'll lose them, okay? And you know, for those of us that study martial arts, you know this, right? But when you study like a martial arts, especially those that have like what we call katas, which are these practice movements, what ends up happening is this stuff becomes muscle memory, and then over time you don't think anymore. It's just ingrained in you. It's instinct on what to do, how to move, how to strike, how to defend, and so forth. So yes, Miss Pibido, I love that name, Pibido. Definitely French, possibly Cajun, but yes, you have to practice. Now, if those of you who are thinking about getting a weapon system such as mace or things like that, again, you just can't go out and buy this, right? You have to go out and train with it, practice how to use it, practice how to draw it, practice where to keep it, right? How do you gain access to it? And for those of you who want to go that next step of a firearm, okay, again, yeah, it's your right. Go out and get it if that's what you want. But once you get it, go get trained. Okay. It's just not, like I said, it's just not one and done. You got to practice, practice. And then also, how are you carrying the gun? How do you get access to the gun? You have to practice these things as well. There are firearm self-defense courses that teach you how to do all of these things. And you need to train, and you need to practice, and go to the range, and do all these things necessary to become proficient in whatever it is that you choose to do, whether it's self-defense, hands-on self-defense, pepper spray, or firearms, you need to train and you need to practice. And most importantly, it's the situational awareness. You got to keep your head on a swivel. Okay. Did she not see this guy charging at him? And if, you have to be able to assess the situation and act quickly. Okay. There's a school of thought. It's called run, hide, and fight. Okay. In many, it's taught for active shooters, but it could be used in many different areas of violence. But, I choose not to run, hide, or fight. I choose to fight. I always choose fight. Okay. Because that's what I was trained to do. I don't run away from a situation there. I stop a situation. Okay. Yeah. So the innocents don't get hurt. And Ron does too. And everybody in law enforcement should be doing that as well. But we've seen some tragic cases where that wasn't the case. But and it hurts. It hurts to see that. But please, you got to watch out for yourself. Like I said, you're responsible for your own safety. You are the primary safety officer for yourself and your family. When I walk with my family, I'm always in front of my family. They're behind me. Okay. That's because I'm always out in front looking. All right. My head is on a swivel. I'm looking for potential bad situations so I can avoid that and walk my family in a different direction or go in a different location. I don't go into a location without knowing how to get out of it. All right. I'm always looking for the exits. I'm always looking, who's possibly danger. When I get on a plane, I sit there and I assess everybody walking down the aisle. Okay. I want to know, what's going on. And it's all about situational awareness. Now, it's not paranoia. It's just that in these days and times, you have to be prepared.
Yeah. And you couldn't have said it any better, Ed. If you're not proficient in using any weapon that you have or any type of mace or anything that's a tactical advantage to you, you need to be proficient in it. A gun or mace, if you don't know how to use it, you might as well just throw it at the person because you're going to have a better chance of, having any type of success with it if you're not trained in it. So
to answer Smitty's question, yes, it does has expiration date.
Get a new one. I had the video last but not least queued up to play of this court appearance. Does anybody want to see that, or have we all seen that already? He doesn't really say much. He just gets brought in. He gets, they speak to him. Everyone's wearing a mask, including the judge. If you want to see the court appearance, just put a 1 in the chat and I'll play it. It's only a couple of minutes. And also, if you're not yet subscribed, consider subscribing to Ed Wallace and Crime Time with DutyRon. Please give a thumbs up on the video, share it out. More people that watch these things, the more people will get knowledge that we're putting out. Ed's a teacher. He likes to teach. He likes to, give out good, valuable information. And I think what we do here is important because if only one person gets a little bit of something, a safety tip, or learns about criminal process, how we collect evidence, how we close these cases, how we get to justice, it's a win. It's a win for all of us if just one person at a time learns about it. Mm-hmm. All right. Unfortunately, I think people want to see it, Ed. So we got to play it and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Here we go. This is him entering the courtroom. This is a face of evil. I'll go full screen. You're looking at evil, folks.
All right, sir, if you could face me so we can communicate better, appreciate it. I know you're wearing a facial mask, so speak as clearly as you can through your mask, so I can understand what you're saying. We have 2 cases on the docket today, you do. And in one case, is listed here on the docket as Cleotha Abston. In the second case, they have listed it as Cleotha Abston Henderson, which is correct. Later, which is correct. Abston, Henderson, sir? Henderson. Okay. And where does the Abston come in? Social Security. Then I'll address you that way. Ms. Abston, in your first case, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping and tampering with or fabricating evidence in a criminal case. Your bond was set by the judicial commissioner in that case in the amount of $500,000. In your second case, you're charged with a misdemeanor offense, theft of property with a value of $1,000 or less, identity theft, and fraudulent use or possession of a credit card. Your bond was set in that case in the amount of $10,000 by the judicial commissioner. You're presumed to be innocent of the charges. You have the right to have a lawyer represent you on these charges. And that is why you were asked to fill out some information for me for each case in an affidavit, similar to this video too. One for each case. Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm that the facts and the information that you are submitting in each of your affidavits concerning whether you can make bond and whether you can hire an attorney is true and correct information, sir? Make your hand down. In each of your affidavits for each case, you state that at this time you are not able to make bond, have no one to help you, and you're not able to afford a lawyer. Is that correct? Your affidavits will be filed here in each of your court jackets. And based upon your affidavits, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. You'll be assigned a lawyer, appointed counsel, from the office of the Shelby County Public Defender. I'm referring your cases today to the office and holding your cases over for a short continuance so they can assign a lawyer to represent you who will review your cases and the facts. Yes, ma'am. All right, you'll sign on both jackets. Ms. Jennifer Case, can you step over here and sign the jacket for me, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I will also advise the court that I'm at this time filing a motion for the restriction of extrajudicial sentence and prosecution by law enforcement witnesses in the case.
You file whatever motions you need to at this time.
Your Honor, I'll be asking the court for an order.
Just to advise you, now, if you spoke to Mr. Hagerman, I understand that there were additional charges there forthcoming. How you want to handle this today?
I'd say a couple things, Your Honor. First, with regard to this motion, I think she said something to the effect of preparing an order. The state intends, as we always do, to comport with the ethical rules about what we can say and what we can't say. I don't understand a request for any sort of gag order at this time. This is literally the first court date.
I haven't seen it yet. There's nothing in the record right now. I haven't seen a written motion. If and when a written motion is filed, I will review it and rule on it. I understand. You'll have the opportunity to be heard.
Very good. The second thing, Your Honor, is yes, additional charges were filed this morning for murder, premeditated murder, and murder in perpetration of a kidnapping. I would expect the judicial commissioner to send those cases here, the clerk's office to send those cases here, as Your Honor stated. I would expect them to defer to Your Honor with regard to a bond setting on those cases. I think it would normally come to this court with no bond set. And I think it would make the most sense, just record keeping and everything else right now, to go ahead and show no bond set on this matter as well. So we get everything straight in the record.
If there's going to be any motion filed to reduce bond or set no bond or revoke bond, I want it in writing, in the record, under the statute. A bond has been set by the judicial commissioner at this time. That's the bond. If there's going to be any request by the defense to reduce the bond or change the bond, it must be in writing per the statute. If there's a request by the state to change the bond, increase it, revoke it, or anything like that, it must be in writing. So if you'll file your motion to have it in the record, then we can deal with that. It's not before me right now. The case is not in front of me, and it requires a written motion by counsel for the defense, for the state, to file a written motion if there's going to be a change in bail. All right? Thank you. Appreciate that. Now, I'm assuming, we can't assume that the clerk's office is going to assign the case to this courtroom. I'll have to ask them to specifically do that. Unfortunately, too many times when cases are pending in one courtroom and the person's charged, the clerk assigns it to who's next on the assignment. So I'll have to make a phone call down to the clerk's office and request that they set the case because the charge has been filed. Set those cases with new charges in this court. They'll be on the docket in the morning. So I don't know if you want to hold this for the morning.
I would also ask that perhaps the court here on motion tomorrow just file the written motion.
Well, I'll take it up if and when it's filed and give the state an opportunity to look at it, read it, and see if they want to respond to it in writing. So let's don't do oral motions on the first day. Let's not do that. Let it get it before the court in a proper status, proper way to consider any motions, okay? We'll take this up in the morning, and I'm assuming that the other case will be on the docket. It's not before me right now. This is all hearsay. I'm hearing this from somebody else. I want it in the record. I want it before me before I make any rulings on anything like that. All right? We'll hold this for tomorrow morning. Now, show this forward report with the appointment of counsel. You did sign on this, Kev? September 7th for report back date. I understand there's other charges forthcoming. Hopefully we'll be in this court tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. We'll take it up at that time. Thank you.
I'm going to add here, like, for me, Ed, how does she even stand next to him? I know she's got a job to do, but I mean, what he stands accused of is just how these defense attorneys do it. God bless them. You know, they got a job to do. I would say, you know, get back to the old days prior to 2020 and when this bail reform started and all this bullshit, to the days where you give the judge the authority to say, hey, based on the heinous crime that's before me, no bail. That's what should have been said here. And that's what should have been said in Diamond Alvarez's case down in Houston. I'm just sick of this. I'm sick of hearing it. The criminal justice system, in my eyes, at this point, is a joke. When it comes to this stuff, they should just tell him, remanded, no bail. See you later. Sit down, scumbag. And that's what it should be. And I'm sorry for the harsh language, but that's how I feel about it. And you know, I respect everybody's opinion, and there's the right to due process. But this is a scumbag. This guy is a real piece of dirt. Anyways, Ed, reel me in.
Yeah, you know, it's our system, though. It's broken, yes, but you know, everybody's entitled to a defense attorney. Everybody's entitled to representation. You know, he hasn't. You know, we will get justice. Let's just put it that way. In the end, we will get justice. All right, and the family will get justice, and society will be given justice as well. There's no way he's getting out of this. Okay. There's no way. It's such a strong case, and it's all collapsing on him. Oh, by the way, breaking. Do you remember when you said it was traffic that was involved?
Yeah.
What happened was they identified at that location where her body was found tire marks through high grass that led to the backyard driveway where the body was found. And they also, when they followed those tire tracks, they noted a decomp smell, and so they found her by following those tire tracks and through the grass to the backyard, and the smell of decomp got stronger and stronger as they approached.
Yeah. So that's what we have. Temperatures in Tennessee are probably pretty high at this point in this time of year. The humidity is high. We talked about that with Dr. Murray Marks. Also, Ed, could you, before we close out, talk briefly about when you have a trauma to a body, a human body, you have trauma to it when the person's bleeding, etc. How does that speed up, if anything, the process of decomp?
Well, it depends on what kind of trauma you have. If you have an open wound and blood is present, well, the insects and the rodents, well, they get a whiff of that and they're all over it. Okay, and so that will speed up destruction of a body. Then, you know, baking out in the sun in high temperatures, things of that nature. that will also break down. Now, as the body is lying there, the bacterias and are churning and then doing their stuff internally. Because now the immune system can't keep them in check. So there's going to be a lot of degradation of the organs and tissue and so forth internally of the body that may cause bloating. And you'll have sometimes skin blisters where fluids will build up underneath there. So it's all dependent on her position and her exposure to the elements and the insects, animals, and things of that nature. How quickly, the body can be degraded.
Yeah. All right, Ed, I think we covered everything that we could here forensics wise. They got their work cut out for them, and all of the evidence has already been collected, and they're probably still collecting.
Well, they have far more to do. I'm
saying additional computer forensics, phone records. There's so much behind the scenes that is going to continue to go on to make sure justice is served here against this perpetrator. So, quite a bit of work, and we will do follow-ups on it as we see fit. But again, this has been coverage from Ed Wallace, retired crime scene expert. Ed's been at this game for a long, long time, and he's teaching in his retired life. He just came back home from Iraq, and if you like all things true crime related from a police detective's perspective, consider subscribing to Ed Wallace and Crime Time with DutyRon. We are, again, we go live on a lot of these cases, and we do coverage from the educational side. So again, guys and girls, remember, hit that thumbs up while you're at it, subscribe. And for those of you who we missed in the chat, let me just say this. The live chatters are so great, and they're so important to us. And the people who leave messages at the end, Santa Elise Holt Johnson coming in with some of her currency from over there in, what is it, Norway, where she's from, Ed? You could speak to her native tongue.
Norwegian, yeah.
Yes. So many of us, we appreciate you guys, but it's when we're trying to stay on topic and get the information out to you, don't get offended by it if we don't answer you. We cannot just all of a sudden drop everything and start answering questions. I appreciate that you guys do it and you send the questions. Thank you for the super chat supports, the folks who leave positive engagement and then, asking the questions. We go back and look at it. So we will get to you. Just know that it keeps the show flowing and it keeps the content flowing the proper way. Instead of us going on to all different avenues, we want to just, again, keep it to the content and the topic of the discussion. Ed, do you see anything of?
Yes, there was one comment here, and I just wanted to answer it. Yes, I'm well aware the system is broken. Not everyone gets justice, but when I'm saying in the end we'll get justice, it's before the final judge.
Yeah. Kelly S is asking for your link. His link is right here. Crime Time with DutyRon. So right. Ed Wallace, the only link for Ed Wallace is DutyRon.com. And right here on this channel. So legal-minded friends, Karen Cole, she's over in the UK. She's an attorney. She says, Ed and Ron, so appreciate your commitment to justice. Thank you for what you do, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a great friend. Anything else in the chat? A lot of amens. People still asking for Ed's link. I guess we need some hearing aids in the chat. Barb M, it's right here. No one truly gets away with anything, says Sounding Sticks.
That's right. In the end,
yeah,
the judgment day comes for all of us.
We got to answer to our maker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Debbie A says, thank you for the great discussion. Schmitty is in the chat. She's chiming away, and hopefully she goes out and buys some new mace. MMM Rhino Girl. Wow. We appreciate you guys. Love from Dubai.
Shukran.
Wow. Ed, you speak so many tongues, different language.
It was Arabic for thank you.
Heather Whatever is here. Blondie1025, a great friend of the Crime Time with DutyRon community, channel member, Patreon supporter. She does it all. She's a jack of all trades. Thank you, Blondie. Alicia B, she's another one. She's out there on her boat doing her thing, reading books. cashing checks, snapping necks. You never know with Alicia B.
Oh boy.
Yeah, she's busy. You know, don't hold on. Don't with Alicia B. She will put you right in your place. Robin E. You can't outrun the long arm of the law. I like that one. I like that. Very good. Thank you. Black Rose 11 is here. Dawn Marie posting links. Hey, we have so many new subscribers, Ed. Do you want to maybe say hello to some of our new friends that came in from Adventures with Purpose from our video last night? Who saw the video? Let us know. Ed, what do you got to say about the new subscribers?
I want to thank you for joining us last night and subscribing to us today or yesterday. We welcome you to our true crime family. This is a no jagaloon zone. We are not like other YouTube channels on here. We're not conspiracy based. We're truth based. Where education is occurring here at our site. It's all about educating you on what's happening, what we know from our experiences in law enforcement. What things mean in these criminal investigations, how things are done. So, we keep that conspiracy stuff and the shouting and the cursing and all that other craziness that goes on in other channels over there, not here. And we have a very loving audience, and they are family. So that's all I have.
They're part of our family. You couldn't say it any better. Ed's stockbroker is chiming in for the Hang Sang. He's doing a lot of moves and shakes. He's a market guy. Ed's out there. Navy Vet for the Broken. Thank you so much for the super chat. I'm so glad I was trained in hand to hand. Only use it once after discharge, but putting a bigger man than me on the ground, it's breathless. Navy Vet, thank you for your service and thank you for your continued support here on Crime Time with DutyRon. You are a bad
mamma jamma.
Yeah, that's why I got the bleep machine, so we don't have all the cursing.
There's a comment here under Alicia B. Do you see it? Oh yeah, there you go. You get it. You just did it.
Are you gonna sing again?
Yeah. You want me to sing? I'll sing.
Oh my goodness. Hold on.
Oh hell no.
The lady said, "Oh hell no." So
all right, that's it. Can't sing. No jagaloons.
Yeah, Deborah Ann, thank you for becoming a member. And if you guys are not yet subscribers or members of Crime Time with DutyRon, consider becoming members and subscribing. We made, as a collective team last night, a $500 donation to Adventures with Purpose. So I want to say thank you to everyone who gave super chats during that broadcast with Doug from Adventures with Purpose. After we hung up, as we say in the old school, after we disconnected, we sent off a $500 donation to Adventures with Purpose to help them continue doing God's work and bringing home the missing to families who have suffered for many, many years of not knowing what happened to their loved ones. And now they have solved the Kylie Rodney case, which was not a cold case, it was an active case, and it was their first time at it. So the generous support from viewers like you through Patreon, through subscriptions, through super chats, enabled me to send on our behalf. So kudos to you guys all, a $500 donation. So congratulations and thank you to each and every one of you here on this great Crime Time with DutyRon community. Ed, we're going to get out of here. As we always like to end these, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially all victims of crime and their families. We send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to the Fletcher family and the entire community, the school kids who are going to miss her tremendously. We send them as much strength and positive vibes and support that we can. Ed, I know you got one final thing to say.
If this case doesn't speak or scream what I've been saying, folks, be safe, be prepared, watch your six. And I'll leave you with this. No, I better not. No.
Okay.
Another time. It wouldn't be appropriate right now to sing the song because it's such a terrible situation we're dealing with here.
Yeah, I'm glad you pulled back on that. Mm-hmm. Good day from New York. And you never know where Ed is. He could be anywhere, but good day from New York. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.